Hi, lovies. As you know, I have been I've been recently doing some videos on postpartum depression as a mother who has gone through this with my last pregnancy. This has been a very learning time for me after everything that took place. It's been stretching, it's been hurtful, shared tears, as well as thanking God that where I am now and just having the mental capacity to handle everything at this time, enjoying my family. As you know, I have been posting certain things regarding my family outside, just spending the beautiful days with them, enjoying their every little moment. As a whole, we've taken a trip or two, and I want to continue to pour into this last week. And we have Dr. Candace Graves, who's a private practice therapist at this time, and I'm going to have her come on, and she's going to answer some questions for us. And she's going to dig into a little bit deeper so we can have a better understanding of what's going on with our minds, our bodies, our emotions as a whole. So please welcome Dr. Candace Graves as she joins us today.
Yeah, I am super happy to really connect with you to just have a conversation. I feel like this impacts so many women. And it's just not enough conversations about it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've been doing private practice for, well, LPC for about 8 years. And it has been a journey. You see a lot, but the thing is, there is healing even after this. So I'm definitely excited to be here to have a dialogue with you for sure.
So I know with with your knowledge regarding all of this, and I'm pretty sure you've had a chance to probably treat a few people through your practice and everything like that. Can you tell me, why do so many mothers feel ashamed to admit that they're struggling after childbirth?
Yeah, and so obviously there are various reasons, but the reality is, I think about it from the perspective of from a mother who's had multiple kids. Maybe the first kid, it wasn't any issues, but the second time around, this starts to come up. There starts to be this space of like, man, this is supposed to be a really happy time. And so
Hmm.
when reality doesn't look like what you expected it to look, there could be just like this shame or guilt of like, well, what's wrong with me? This didn't happen last time. And you start
Right.
to really question yourself. And the reality is that questioning, that struggle, is really like an internal thing.
Hmm.
And when we have that stuff going on inside of our heads, it literally can be a silent killer.
Right. No, I agree, because I didn't even know how to even express this to my husband at one point. And then I was just like, I had to really take time, and I was like, oh my God, I need to literally see somebody because this not right. I wasn't feeling myself at that time, and I just needed to get some kind of understanding, because I was like, I didn't feel like you said, I didn't feel like this the first time. So like, even
Yeah.
with that happening, like, what is something about postpartum depression that most people misunderstand? Because even when I spoke to my husband, like, I feel like he didn't get a full grasp of everything that was happening.
For sure. And to be honest, mostly we see how postpartum is exhibited on TV shows and different things like that. And so it's not all the time that we maybe experience ourselves or someone in our environment to really have that real world type of experience.
Hmm.
But from TV, it looks like intense sadness,
Mm.
and that's just a generic, this is what it looks like. But
Hmm.
it's more to that. What happens when this mother is showing up just emotionally numb? What happens when she's angry or is
Hmm.
her being extremely irritable? Like it looks different, and really it depends on the person. And it could be a mom who maybe she struggled with postpartum with multiple of her children, and it looked different every time.
Right.
So we do have to like get away from that one shoe fits all. This is how it always looks, because
Mm-hmm.
that's not definitely not true at all.
Yeah, no, like you said, because it didn't even, like you said, it didn't even hit me in the big deep sadness for real. It was not that at all. It was like, okay, something like my emotions are just up and like the anxiety. It was anxiety that was just flaring up constantly. And I just wanted to, I kind of wanted to just not, it wasn't, it was like I wanted to just walk off and be by myself for a minute.
Mhm.
And just kind of gather my thoughts, but I couldn't find the space to do it, and that's it
Mhm.
kind of which kept it going up further and further. Um, can, I'm sorry, 1 second. Give me 1 minute. Can you tell me what are the most common silent signs of postpartum anxiety?
Yeah, so I've seen like a lot of just intense guilt or intense shame. Again, it goes back to that just internal, what is wrong with me type of thing. You mentioned anxiety, that is one of them, those sort of like intrusive thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, sometimes people can find themselves being hyper um sensitive to like everything that their child does, like it's extreme safety concerns. You're
Mm-hmm.
thinking something is going to happen to your baby, and it just becomes just these intrusive thoughts that kind of cycle and get bigger and bigger, and honestly it feeds fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so you notice you start to operate differently in your environment with your kid when y'all go out. And so you start to have frightening thoughts. So
Mm-hmm.
that can really like pile on top of each other and make it even bigger. And then also there's this space of like just difficulty bonding. And
Mm-hmm.
that can feel very shameful if you're thinking, man, like I carried this baby the course of my pregnancy and I'm having difficulty like actually bonding with my baby. You really start to like question yourself as a mom, and just that feeling of you feel very tired, but you're also very wired. Like
Mm-hmm.
you just can't, you're exhausted, but you can't sleep.
Yes.
Um, it's a
No,
lot of that.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to cut you off, but like I was literally about to ask you about like sleep because I was like not getting sleep for real. I was like and even with trying because I was nursing, trying to nurse at the same time, and I was like, okay, she would get up and I would try to nurse her, and then like even anxiety would come on at my nursing because of things that happened from my last pregnancy, and I was like, it's not gonna work, and I couldn't. I was probably getting functioning off 4 hours of sleep, if that. And I was like, and I'm still moving and chugging through my day. So that like, so what role does that sleep deprivation play
Yeah,
in your
it
mental
is
health?
huge.
Mm-hmm.
It is huge. If you think just pregnancy aside, being a new mom aside, just in life, when you are not getting enough sleep, or
Mm-hmm.
foggy mind, cloudy in your thinking, you're not able to make solid decisions, and then you're adding on top of that is sleep deprivation that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a mom, I just had a baby. It really wears on your body, not just physically but emotionally. Your emotions can in no way be regulated when you're not getting proper rest. And I hear all the time, it's hard, or my body doesn't want to sleep when the baby is sleeping, because we try to like encourage, you know, what's those practical things like you can do to kind of help with that. But what happens when your body don't want to go to sleep at the same time that the baby is sleeping? It really just kind of exacerbate those symptoms that are experienced. But if sleep is like the number one thing you need to be getting, um,
Right.
and it could be hard. And I'm just speaking from, add on top of that, um, just growing up and sometimes seeing your mom worked from this place of like survival mode, or your grandma moved from this place of survival mode, and here you are with the new baby,
Mm-hmm.
and you moved from a place of survival mode, but sleep deprivation up against survival mode. Oh my gosh, the sleep deprivation will win every time. We
Yeah.
can't you can't keep chugging. You can't keep being that choo-choo train and have no coal to feed that engine. And that's what sleep is in that situation. It really rejuvenates, it refreshes you. Like, we need that.
Right.
Period.
So true. That's true. Cause like
Mm,
I remember when I legit everything changed, kind of shifted for me. And I was just like, oh my God, thank God. It was such a relief just being able to get some rest, just being able to be like, okay, it felt like a second win. It really did. It felt
yeah.
like a whole second win. And I was able to start like really thinking, coming out, it was like coming out of a cloud in my mind.
Hmm.
And I was just like, so can you tell me something that's like going to and can help mothers who feel like they're failing, some encouraging words or something to that extent? Like,
You it honestly is a real place, and it can get hard because sometimes we're in positions where we have no choice but to do it ourselves.
mm-hmm,
And so that makes it 10 times harder.
mm-hmm,
Um, but the way I look at motherhood is like, we weren't meant to carry this thing alone. I truly believe in that it takes a village, like it takes support, and
mm-hmm,
not just for the baby, but for that mom.
right,
And the encouragement I would give in this situation is that, like, you're not failing. Sometimes
mm-hmm,
we look at it from a perfection standpoint, like I should be better. But the fact of the matter is, you're showing up every day for this baby. This baby just
right.
need consistency. That's it.
No, you got to show up for the kid.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so real. Oh my goodness. And I think that's kind of what pushed me. It was like you ain't got no choice but to take care of the baby. Like
Mhm.
even though you need to be taking care of yourself too, but the baby you got to be taken care of because they can't take care of themselves. And that was something that was I just continued to feel um
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, again,
daily
it's
with
a real
everything.
place.
Hmm. No, it's real. Can you
100%.
tell me how can faith, community, and support systems help in recovery? Because the recovery part is that's really important.
Yes, we really need community, even if it's just for us as mothers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about somebody necessarily like fixing something per se,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes you just need an ear. Sometimes you just need somebody there who's gonna hold the baby while you take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
Even for anybody listening, that's helpful. It's
Right.
not about all the time money or what you can buy, but it's about showing up and being present. So sometimes when we're feeling depressed, or there is shame connected to it because of the postpartum symptoms, we want to isolate. We don't want to tell people like what we're thinking or what's kind of going on with us internally. But in those moments, it's so important to like plug into community, because sometimes that's where you can find relief. And all the
Mm-hmm.
time, community don't look like what we're necessarily used to. If you were someone who was just used to, my mama and my sister, maybe
Right.
your community also extends to actual community supports. Maybe my doctor's office referred me um, to a group of other mothers. It's sometimes we got to get creative with what community is and what it looks like in that season of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And baby, faith is important because you need
Yes.
to remain hopeful.
Yes.
Sometimes it is that driving hope for you, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to be in a space where you're hopeless.
Right.
You just don't want to be there.
Right. And I thank God that I didn't end up in that space. I know for sure, like I had what really lifted, I was listening to some praise music and
Yeah.
I was in the zone one day and I was just washing dishes and I'm like, I just went into a whole praise. And that's where everything legit shifted for me. And I was like, God. I was like, I promise you, like when I said it was like a second wind, I felt like God literally just blew on me. And I was just like, okay, uh, like a whole new mindset came over me. A whole like it was a whole shift. And that's what kind of like I said, this was something when that happened, I was like, okay. The next week, I'm like, okay. Even though like the anxiety would try to come back, I'm like, no, okay, let's
Yeah.
keep going. And it just like I'm really glad and I hope other mothers and stuff get to this place who's dealt with it or dealing with postpartum depression, you know, where they can just breathe and begin to enjoy life and enjoy their babies and enjoy them like their family and those around them, like just to have a sound mind again. It like I didn't think that that was going to be part of this. I was like,
Yeah.
no, that's how that, like I said, that goes back to the point of me saying I knew something wasn't right because my thoughts was like just over here, over there. I'm like, no, this ain't, mm-mm. And I didn't want to deal with adults. That's what
Yeah.
I was like. I didn't want to deal with any adults. I'm like, let me just take care of my kids. I don't want nobody else over. Like, I don't want to deal with nobody else. Like, yeah, my husband was here or whatever, but and I was at a minimum, like I was at my max probably with him because, and not that he did anything, it was just what I was dealing with. And I just kept
Yeah.
telling him, I'm like, dude, you just don't understand. And I wish somebody had told me, you know,
Yeah,
I
but
wish
you know
somebody
the
said something.
the funny thing, you making a statement, I wish somebody would have told me, and it just makes me think about how our mothers and their mothers dealt with this completely different. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we can't you coming from such a resilient space, it'll be
Mm-hmm.
like, ain't nothing wrong with me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it'll be, trying to force yourself past your capacity type of thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
really feel like our generation was probably the first generation I hear the most as far as like talking to somebody, reaching out for help and
Mm-hmm.
those sorts of things. There still might be some negative connotations connected to reaching out, but I just encourage people to like plug into community. And you mentioning faith made me think of had a client we were talking about just listening to worship instrumentals, and that's what she started going to bed to. Like her baby
Mm-hmm.
bed to those as well, because we really need something that's gonna like one put us to sleep. That
Mm-hmm.
works.
So true. So true. That does work. Oh my goodness. No, it's true. Ah.
Also minister to us at the same time, and there's
Mm-hmm.
some people who like rainforest sounds. I mean, it's a plethora of things you can choose from, but just try some YouTube. It's a lot of creativity on YouTube as it relates to like mindfulness sounds,
Mm-hmm.
worship instrumentals that kind of help with sleep. I listen to them sometime even now,
Right.
and I can attest that they actually do help.
So I kind of want to ask one final question, really. What message would you give to a mother who is silently struggling right now? Actually, it's one more question after that. Um, so I'm gonna ask you that, and then it's one more question because I want to know, like, you did get some daily practices of what
Mhm.
we could do. I just wanted to get that like just to have them have an understanding of what supports are out here.
Yeah, yeah. Really, don't suffer in silence, one, but don't think something is wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. Our hormones, they shift. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we experience different things at different ages. This is why, you know, you can't compare pregnancy one with pregnancy number three. And even if it's hard to trust people, look for one person that you feel like you can trust, even
Mm-hmm.
if it's just trust them with that conversation of like,
Yeah.
this is how I'm feeling. And maybe that's not somebody that's in your family. Maybe we're talking about a professional. Maybe we're talking about calling a doctor's office, but just that one person that you can trust, and just start there. Start there. Because I think
Yeah.
sometimes people kind of shun away from that because of negative responses. You know, sometimes as people, we tend to minimize other people's experience, and
Mm-hmm.
don't nobody want to hear that or experience that.
Yeah. So true. Yeah.
That'll shut you down. That'll shut somebody
Mm-hmm.
down in a minute. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what? Nah, I'm good. I'm not sharing with her. You know, it only takes that one time
Mm-hmm.
for someone to just kind of be like, you know what? Mm-mm. But I would just encourage people to find somebody that you feel safe sharing with. And even if it's like, I don't tell my business, like, I don't want to do that. This is one
Right.
of those things where you shouldn't be carrying this alone. You
Yeah.
shouldn't, because this
It,
is
yeah.
beyond your capacity. This is heavy.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true.
Yeah.
My final question to you today, Candace, because I want to thank you so much for joining me and just kind of giving all this feedback and knowledge regarding postpartum depression. But my question is, where can people reach you to get the have a conversation or even with your private practice at this time?
Yes, I'll definitely share my booking link. I am licensed in Texas as well as Missouri. I also do take some insurances as well, and I do have a sliding scale for those who may have to pay out of pocket.
Mhm.
So I'll make sure I share that as well. And I just want to also encourage people, take care of you. You know, that self-care component while
Mm-hmm.
you're dealing with this is so important, because you're not just talking about changes in your body. There's also changes in your mind. There's changes in sometimes your mobility and your ability.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can lose a part of yourself. You're just giving so much of yourself to this baby
Yes.
who, you know, you love and all of those things. But even in that, make sure you're taking care of yourself. You know,
Hmm.
self-care can look like a lot of things. But you know, whatever it is, do it.
Yes.
Even if it's small, don't feel guilty about taking a shower or
Hmm.
stepping away for a minute or letting somebody else handle something for you. Because again, it wasn't supposed to be a one woman show
Right.
necessarily. So yeah.
No, thank you for this. I truly appreciate it because self-care is very important with this. Oh my goodness, it's so important. But I want to thank you for your time. I truly appreciate everything, Candace. As you all have heard it from Dr. Graves here. Listen, I hope you all reach out to her because she is very knowledgeable and she know what she's doing. She got this. Listen, I appreciate you. Thanks, Candace. And till next time, I hope to oh, I want to congratulate you on your marriage. Woo woo.
Yeah.
uh, thanks, Candace. I appreciate you joining me.
Yes, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Bye.